Hey, all you experts out there, this is the Monetize Your Expertise podcast, where we show you how to use your skills to pay the bills. Have you ever wanted to create a business that positions you as the industry leader and go-to expert? Join me every week to hear from amazing leaders and entrepreneurs who have successfully refined their skills in order to become experts and create extremely profitable knowledge businesses. To find all of the links and tools mentioned in this episode, just go to myepodcast.com. I'm your host, Grant Weherley, the online course guy, helping you every week to monetize your expertise. Hey, podcast listeners. Today we're talking about how to not be awkward in video. And not only that, but not only how to not be awkward, but how to be actually quite good. Because this is a huge issue that a lot of people have. They're uncomfortable on camera. They don't know how to be on camera. They have hesitations. They don't want to get on camera, and that's going to hang them up and prevent them from actually getting started with building courses. And this is especially true for people who've never done it, right? So their very first course, but even those who've done it a bit, still some psychological hesitation based on inexperience. So let's go through some of the common mistakes people make, and then also some really effective strategies for making great video. So here are some common mistakes people make when they're on camera filming even very simple videos. So the number one mistake everybody makes is that they're the same on camera as they are off camera. Now, not everybody does this. There's a corresponding opposite end of the spectrum type mistake I'm going to be talking about in a second. But the first most common thing people do is they act the same on a camera as they do in real life. So if you're recording yourself, especially if it's showing video as well as audio, you can't act the same way you do in real life. I'm sure you've seen promotional videos of things, and if you even just watch a regular movie, people don't act the same way that they do on camera that they do in real life. I mean, think about the types of quotes, the little one-liners in a movie where like the music stops, it zooms in on somebody's face, and they say something really catchy. Like there's all kinds of things that happen on camera that never make sense in real life, but the reverse is true as well. If you try and bring your off-screen or normal life persona and put it on camera, it's going to look really boring, because what happens is everything's diminished when you put it on camera. So that's audio, that's also video. When you combine the two, it's very true. So you have to be a lot more intense, and especially if you're an introvert like me, it's a bit of a challenge, but something that can be overcome. So number two is kind of going the opposite way, which is over amplifying the wrong types of things. So picture somebody wildly flailing their arms while they speak, but they're speaking calmly. So that kind of mismatch, an amplification of one thing to try and compensate for being on camera, but doing it in a really awkward, mismatched way, and also amplifying the wrong types of things. So increasing your intensity, your volume, your enunciation of words, that's one I still have to actually work on a bit. If you amplify the right things, it works really well. But if you start to just like try and have really intense hand gestures or something while having a calm voice, it doesn't work very well. So you have to amplify, but also in a natural way, in a way that everything is matched up and you're just being a more intense person in a way that's not very, very awkward. The third thing that people do, or fail to do rather, is not actually watching themselves and practicing. This might sound really obvious, but it's very, very important. It actually doesn't take that much practice to get good on camera. It's just a very odd, unique thing that most people have never done. So the first time you do it, you're going to be really uncomfortable, most likely, if you've never done it before. Even if you've done it a bit, but you're inexperienced, you'll feel a bit uncomfortable. And you'll have to watch yourself. You have to do some practice, some trial and error to actually see what you're doing and what you think you're doing and how that actually turns out. So that's number three. Number four is being too tense. This one is, if you're uncomfortable, it'll just look obvious and it'll cause you to be too restrained or, again, flail your arms a bit or something. It'll come out in weird ways, but one of the best ways to have a really good presence on camera, and again, this is purely through audio as well as video, is just to relax and not be too tense, because that has all kinds of weird side effects. And I can tell you that from experience. So again, I know if you have not spent a lot of time recording videos, you're probably uncomfortable with it. Everyone is, that's okay. And even if you are comfortable with it, here's a little secret. If you have not already had a lot of experience doing it, then you still probably suck at it. You just don't know it. So maybe you should be a little bit uncomfortable. So the point is that practice totally gets you through that initial period of being good on camera. And it's a unique skill. It's really like very little else. But here's a little story about how that kind of worked out for me. The very first online course I ever made, I did it the most difficult way possible. I was recording live video in my mom's sewing room at my parents' house when I was like hustling, just getting started as an entrepreneurial journey. It was really challenging. I was really uncomfortable. It was really awkward. It was even really hot in that room because it was small and there was no air conditioning in that room. Lots of challenges there. So needless to say, it was not easy. I was not comfortable. I was not skilled at doing it already. It was the first time I was doing it. It's really awkward the first time you try and do it. I was actually trying to like set up the filming system and film myself with being the only person in the room. Not an ideal situation to be in. Now, fast forward a bit, I actually had an opportunity just for fun to do a commercial, an ice cream commercial for Nestle over in Asia. And so I wanted to seize that opportunity as partially a way to practice having good on-screen presence. And I didn't know exactly what it was going to be like before agreeing to do it. But then, I go there, we start getting started filming, and basically I find out that it's lots of gestures, especially in the beginning. So the very first scene we filmed was me. They're like, okay, look at the camera. We're going to zoom in right on your face, and your role. What you have to do is seduce the camera with just your eyes. And I was like, what? I mean, I've been on video a bit doing online courses, but that sounds really difficult. I'll give it my best shot. And that was the very first thing that we filmed for the day. So, nobody had even warmed up yet. Like it takes a little bit of warming up to be on camera. But then the first scene we filmed was seduce the camera, Grant. And it was funny because there was an entire massive team of people, like 40, 50 people. And at the beginning, they were all happy because we're like, hey, we're starting filming. And so they were all staring at me too. Staring at me right behind the camera while they're like, okay, look at the camera, seduce the camera. So anyways, that was really awkward, but actually immediately after I did that scene, the producers and the camera crew were complimenting me on my presence and my ability to stay relaxed in the situation. And I laughed actually when they said that because I remembered that first time that I ever filmed something, and it really drives home the effect of practicing this kind of thing. So we just talked about 4 common mistakes. Let's actually talk about 7 really effective strategies for being great in video. These are 7 relatively simple things to get you started doing a great job and being more comfortable on camera. And again, actually, this is largely related to the sort of talking head style videos, which are common in courses, or at least the promotional videos for courses. But a lot of this still applies even if you're just recording your screen and recording your audio over it. So number 1, again, this is actually very similar to the first mistake people make. 10x your personality, actually 100x your personality, and also smile when you talk. So 2 very simple things, but basically you have to intensify what you're doing because when you record it, it sort of diminishes everything. And even though if you think you're talking really loudly, if you think you're being really intense, once you go back and look at it and watch yourself or listen to it, it's crazy how much that does not come across unless you are really, 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 really intense, way more than you think you need to be. And then the second half of that is to smile when you talk because people can actually hear it in your voice. So even if you're doing audio, people can hear the fact that you're smiling. And it's also just, of course, a great, you're looking at a smiling face. It works every time, right? Number 2, be consistent with your voice and your body language. So again, when you're tense, if you're new to this, you're uncomfortable. Some people have a tendency to flail a bit or be a little bit twitchy or be really restrained. There's this abnormal kind of body language voice matchup thing which happens. So maybe your voice is really quiet, but your body language is very loud, or your voice is very loud, but your body language is really subdued. So try and get the 2 to match together because that just makes it a lot more effective presentation. Number 3 is to watch your first take of whatever you're doing for feedback and then throw it away and do your first real take. So whenever you're recording a video, I strongly recommend that you don't even think of the first time of recording it as even a legitimate thing. It's literally practice. It will not probably turn out well. It'll likely suck a lot actually, and you'll see things that you're doing that you don't realize that you're doing and that are important to stop doing when you actually legitimately record the first real take. So do a practice run through, but don't even see it as anything other than practice. And this does 2 things. It gets you warmed up and in camera mode, which again is different than real life mode. And again, you'll also see all these weird mannerisms that you did not realize that you had. For example, one time I was doing this and I realized when you have a close-up of my face that's straight on, you can really, really easily notice that my left eyebrow, and only my left eyebrow, goes up every time that I talk intensely. So every time I started to talk, my left eyebrow would shoot up. It looks really, really awkward, and I had no idea until I was filming myself in that exact situation. Number 4, focus on putting adequate time into the prep for any kind of filming. So this includes things like creating an outline or script. Some people do better with an outline, some people do better with a script. Also making sure the lighting is solid, drink some coffee, drink some water, so you're not, it's actually really easy to get dry mouth when you're talking a lot on camera. Just be prepared, because if you're having to stop and fix things along the way, it really, really, really slows down the process and it creates a lot of headaches later. So just focus on the setup, and once it's set up effectively, you're just good to go. It goes by really, really quickly. Number 5, relax. I've already sort of said this, but it bears repeating. You really, really have to be relaxed even while you're being intense. And this one is, I personally find this very difficult, but I understand how important it is. It's a huge difference. If you're being tense, you'll end up, again, you're restrained, you'll end up doing weird things. People can just tell. And being relaxed and confident is huge in the sort of qualitative feel of the presentation of content, and especially any kind of sales video. It's huge. It makes a huge difference at the end of the day. Number 6, chunk it up into pieces. So if you have 3 minutes of video that you're trying to film, maybe have 30-second chunks. And then, this is especially true for short videos, record it all the way through 2 to 3 times, and then that way you can piece together the best chunks. So if maybe the first 30 seconds of your third take was the best, but the second 30 seconds of your first take was the best out of that section, then you can just piece together all the best versions. And then that way, if you screw up a particular section of your presentation in any chunk of video, you can just switch it out with a different take. Number 7, do not make the mistake of recording across multiple days for the same video, whenever possible. Sometimes you kind of have to if it's something very long, but try and knock it all out within the same day, even within the same couple hours. Now, the reason for this, and this is something you won't immediately realize ahead of time, but the lighting, the audio, and also your energy levels will change dramatically if you, for example, film 3 days in a row. And even if you film in the morning and then take a lunch break and then film in the afternoon, the lighting's totally different. And if you set up and then break down and reset up equipment, the audio is always different. There'll be an echo that there wasn't there before. There's some kind of background noise. The sun is moved. All kinds of things shift. And then all of a sudden it doesn't look consistent, and you can tell that it's edited. And if you try and do that chunking strategy I was just talking about, it's going to look really weird, because you'll switch back and forth between like morning lighting, afternoon lighting, morning lighting, afternoon lighting. It looks really awkward. So it just makes it a lot harder to edit and put things together. So those are 4 common mistakes and 7 effective strategies for being great in video. So employ these as best you can. It'll prevent you from appearing awkward, and instead you'll appear very professional, you'll relay content better, and you'll be a lot more comfortable at the end of the day. So hopefully these techniques get you started making amazing videos in no time flat. And the most important elements to sort of sum it all up is to practice, number 1, and 2, relax. It's okay not to be perfect, and you will get better. Trust me. Being self-conscious just ruins the fun and makes the end results worse, and you will get better. Everybody sucks at it the first time, and so just keep at it and keep rocking. Hey entrepreneurs and experts, I just wanted to thank you for listening to this episode, and I hope you learned at least one new big idea that helps you evolve your skills and gets you closer to monetizing your expertise and creating that successful knowledge business. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on iTunes and Stitcher, and check out myepodcast.com for all episodes as well as the tips and tricks mentioned in this episode. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.